daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome back to the Daily Southampton, part of the Global Sports Podcast Network. My name is Greg Elliott, and as always today joined by my wonderful friend and magnificent co-host, Zach Ingo Finch. How you doing, mate? You right?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. I've had an extremely busy weekend, so my energy is low, real tired. But we did have a football game yesterday, one that I did manage to catch some of in a perfectly normal way.
Your holiday home out in the Bahamas or something, yeah?
But Bahamas, mate, it's not that fancy. It's just France.
Just France. All right, yeah, no, that's good. It's nice. Look, unfortunately, I was in Watford, but for non-footballing reasons, it turns out. But look, I've caught up with the extended highlights and read some of the reviews of the game, and we talk about how some draws feel like a win and some feel like a loss. This feels more like a loss, right? This feels like points dropped more than it should.
Yeah, but I think that's kind of your point. It is more than it should, and I think that it's because silly little mistakes are constantly what cost us, and not taking our chances. Which I'm pretty sure, if you strip those words out of all of the episodes of this podcast we've ever done, probably make up about 20% of it. Because genuinely, it's just a reoccurring thing that consistently happens, and I think that, we were forced into a sort of really early change. And what I mean by that is before the game even started, because I don't know, by the sounds of it, Flynn caught something that apparently has already been going around the team, right? That's what I read between the lines.
The man just has the immune system of, does his wife work in a nursery? Because that's the only,
it gives
I
off
get that ill that often.
Right, it gives off the kind of vibes of whatever, clearly he tried to push through, couldn't. It showed you how much of his influence we missed, and by that I mean even when he had off days like against Norwich, having Shea Charles kind of try to do it all on his own a little bit today proved how difficult that is, and maybe that is an area we need to reinforce. Although it did kind of surprise me that he kind of moved Robinson into midfield when we had Masuki there, and obviously Masuki eventually did come on, and then even he struggled because, again, we really struggled with
different caliber or different role of midfielder, right? They're not equal midfield roles.
And straight away, as well as, although helping to win the penalty that got us, to lead for the second time in the game, he did also then immediately get a yellow, I want to say 2 or 3 minutes later, having to take out a player because physically Watford were just significantly stronger. And they showed that throughout the entirety of the game. They just bullied us off of the ball quite a lot. But, I think that if we talk about how good Manning's goal was, and then we try and blame Baz for the second goal, okay. In both situations, Baz probably should have done a bit better. I do feel like there is a vendetta against him. It's it's a good goal.
I read some criticism online, and I read what you were saying about the goal, and I watched the highlights, and I seen the goal, and by point of fact, if the goal goes in over the top of the wall, that is not the goalkeeper's fault, right? It went over the wall. It was just it was a quality free kick.
It was a good goal.
You can't fault the wall. They jumped as best as they could. The ball just managed to go up and over the wall.
I think people
can't expect the keeper to get there. It's just not.
People cross about organisation and bits and pieces, but again, it's if we hadn't put ourselves into silly situations like that, even at one point, Damien Downs had to run back and got carded. So,
that's the thing that the highlights didn't show, is how we gave away that free kick, which is what I presume was silly about the goal, because that's an important position.
This is where I'm at. Is when it comes to sort of our defence are still quite shaky, and I don't know if that's because I don't know if that's because we're playing sort of this 5 at the back, which I know that you don't think is a 5 at the back, and we've discussed that, but clearly it's not preferred to how we'd want to set up. We're doing it because of the way that the team is currently, that hopefully by the looks of things are going to change. We're going to start to try and bring more personnel in, but ultimately, Manning's goal was absolutely fantastic, and their second goal was absolutely fantastic. Their first goal we shouldn't have really given away, but we did. And, we are learning to score from set pieces, which is significantly better than we've managed previously, right?
Yeah, exactly. And also, right, we're doing better in the league so far this season than we were doing in our promotion season. So
Yeah,
it's not panic
I
stations.
understand. People wanted to do better. People probably expected to do. People probably expected more. I think people were hoping that we would go into the Pompey game off the back of being top of the table and winning a bunch of stuff. Like, it's taken a while. Like, we're still trimming the fat. We're still bringing in new players and new faces. We had a debut. Finn Azaz looked really good.
That's good.
Drove forward a lot.
I saw he
Archer,
had a half decent shot from what I think was a pretty awkward chance,
yeah,
to be honest.
yeah, and a couple of times again, it was just like not having the right positioning and not required power. But again, shooting is far better than we've done previously. Archer had a good game for the first half, and then the second half he kind of just stepped off the gas a little bit. And I don't know if that's just because he's knackered, because he's not got match fitness. Again, like he's from the.
He's not really played regular minutes.
It's one of those things where, like, do you just say it's because part of them are part of the Martin cohort and are still trying to get up to speed? That theoretically could be.
But not only
part of it.
that, like he hasn't played regularly for us at all at any point. He just needs minutes. Like he scored now 2 in 2. So I hope that maintains, and then we'll see. Hopefully, his fitness grow off the back of that as well, because he's just not been given the chance to play, and I feel like he's one of those players that needs that to motivate him and drive him on. So
I think you're right. But the problem is how many chances do you get? Because he scored like in the Premier League campaign, he scored 2 in 2 that one time, right? He scored at Arsenal and then he scored like the game before or whatever. But the problem is, I'm relatively sure he did have a run of like 7 or 8 games, and those were the only 2 goals he scored. So the problem is that what do? Do you keep him in that position the whole time? If he is scoring, sure, like okay, he scored 2 in 2, so yeah, probably should make the next game. But it's one of
based
those.
on my predictions, now he's due for a 40-goal season.
And I think that's where a lot of the fear amongst the fan base lies, right? Understandably so, is that like, oh, we should have gotten a different striker, and it's like, well, the problem is that there's no guarantee that we're gonna. You've summed it up before. If it was easy as we just go out and chuck money at like a 40-goal a season striker, everyone would do it, right? You're seeing that. You're seeing. Oh, look at Liverpool and the Isak thing, right? Look at the even Manchester United are like bringing in Sesko, Costa. We don't have 80 million to spend. We don't have the money to, people are talking, oh, what about Josh Sargent? There's tons of reasons why we might not have got it. He might not be interested in leaving. We might have put a bid in, and it was immediately rejected. There are, also, we're not tactically planning this squad. So I find it bizarre when people sort of pluck names out of the sky. And yeah, Josh Sargent's a good player. I would happily have him here. But the idea that we are just able to not deal with the cards that we've been dealt. And I feel like if they are happy with the squad they're building, with the strikers they have, and they are convinced it is just a confidence issue, which me and you have talked about a lot, it will go on from there. If we
let me pose the counter question to that then, right, mate? Because we saw Cameron Archer score in the week a beautiful goal against Norwich, and let's be honest, both of our teams were rotated. Let's not beat around the bush, but he scored that goal, and it was wonderful, beautiful goal. If he hadn't scored that goal, do you think he has the confidence to just put his boot through this shot, fall into him, and it goes in today? Because I'm not convinced.
Maybe, like, again, I feel like it is more of a tap in than anything else, but also we've shown that we've struggled.
But you still got to be in the right position to tap it in.
And we've also shown we've missed tap it.
I think that it's only a tap in might be my most hated phrase in football, because
a tap in requires you to be
game.
There, right?
Yeah, you've got to be there, but also you've got, be there, right? How many did we say Ross Stewart missed by inches last week? Like,
I don't know, like 30. It feels like it.
and then was it Matty Fernandez last week who got one over the bar from like 2 yards out? No, it was Flynn Downs. Like, it's a tap in is still a goal. Like, you got to be in the right position and build up to get.
We had shots on target. Right, we had attempts from outside the box. Like, all of the game, it was okay, right? And what happened is we got punished on the counter attack again. And you can see from the fact that I think everyone's kind of in agreement that Shea Charles without a physical partner like Downs in the centre is difficult. I already saw Football Martin talking about bringing Romeu back. I think we need to stop doing that thing. We're not going to bring back 38-year-old players at this point. That's mean. I'm pretty sure Romeu is like 33. But like, again, it's...
I mean, all of the players we've been linked with, if he were to come back on like a reasonable wage, like not like an
he would be the one
wage,
that would probably get the most. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, then it would be really tricky every week to decide which player I'm putting a pound on to get booked, him or Flynn Downs. That's where I'm
both, and you'd probably make a fortune, mate. Is where I'm at. But you can see from how many cards we picked up in the game as well, mate. Like how many sort of late challenges we had to put in, and how there was work that had to be done to deal with how much they hit us on the counter, and eventually it was going to come good, and it did twice. And I know that one of them was a free kick, but that was still given away from the fact that we struggled to deal with that. So I think it's more of a not taking chances. The defense is still a little bit shaky, and it's going to be, considering we had our worst season of all time last season, and some of those players are still here. In fact, most of that back line are the same back line bar Bednarek at the moment. Wood, Harwood, Bellis, and Stevens were all players that played in that Premier League season. So maybe, as I said, maybe we need to bring in another centre back to kind of sort of calm that down. But as of today, we've signed Jalert from Galatasaray on loan, and somehow, somewhere, we've managed to convince another team that Ben Brereton Diaz is a professional football player, and he has gone on loan to Derby. And we've still got probably another crazy busy 24 hours that I'm really looking forward to being awake until midnight for.
Right, look, this feels like a nice logical point to take a break and hear a message from our partners at Bionique.
Your body is unique, and Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bionique, the world's most personalised supplements. Bionique provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimize your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN 2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bionique. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now. Your body is unique, and Global Sports Podcast Network.
Okay, and we are back. The very technical hitch of my headphones dying withstanding, I'm still here. I made it work. I pulled it off.
Man, if only you knew that we had a daily podcast every day that you need to prepare for in time.
Look, I had a spare headset on hand. Let's just be grateful for that, all right?
I am grateful for that, you're right.
Look, much like that, I think there are positives to take from this game, right? And I know that I didn't manage to watch the full 90 minutes to necessarily feel as down and struck about it. But look, we went in front, we scored 2 goals, and this isn't going to be our starting lineup in 2 weeks' time. We've got players that didn't manage to register in time that are going to help with some of those problems as well. And it looks like we created so many more chances than, historically we have been. And if we'd just put a few of them to bed, I think that's probably why it's so upsetting, right? Is because it's starting to feel like it's coming together and we should be winning these games. And I think we're still not quite getting over the line.
There are some people I've seen all opinions raving from, that was actually a really good game. That was probably our best half of football ever, which is probably, or at least best half in a long time, and first half probably agree. And then I'm seeing opinions like, still's done nothing, the team's the same as it was, and this. I'm like, partly, yeah, a lot of the team is still the same as it was. That's true up until yet the other day where we replaced most of them and half of them have left. It's that horrible again, I just feel like the window should close before it opens,
because
before
this
the season opens, because it's just so disruptive.
It's because this is like a pre-season, right? Pre-season wasn't real, and now this is like pre-season because you don't know what the squad's like. And what that unfortunately means is that our first real game of the season is going to be the South Coast Derby.
Yeah, and then we've had, like, think of our last promotion season where we had James Ward-Prowse and then he was gone, and then we had Livramento and he was gone. We started the season with Teller, and then Teller disappeared almost overnight to Leverkusen, and everyone was like, oh, that's mad. And Romeo Lavia, who we really hoped to keep a hold of, and then he went. It was like we got absolutely ripped apart, and then by the last day, we didn't really know what was going on. And then eventually, the squad that we had was the squad that we had, and there were some people who we were mad, people kind of annoyed. Oh, we brought in Ryan Fraser. Really, that's not going to turn out too well. Like, he's had a really bad attitude elsewhere, and then there were people we were really excited for that didn't work out too well. And then, I'm using our last season because if I talk about, our last championship season. So if I talk about our Premier League season, it's just going to stress me out. Because that was, we looked at Ben Brereton Diaz and we thought that was a shrewd deal, mate.
Well, right,
I'll hold my hands up and say we were wrong about that, but
that's what feels different this season, right? Because although we've had players go, it feels like it's been part of the plan. Like, not necessarily like, oh, we wanted this player to go, like Matty Fernandez, but
they've known it the whole time. They knew Fernandez
they let him go and have like almost immediately brought someone in, so that because they were prepared, it's not, it doesn't feel. It feels like there's a proper plan. Whereas like this time last championship season, it was Russell Martin cooking on his own. Or did we still have Wilcox kicking about at that time? I can't remember, but
we still
rushed
did.
and panicked, right? Like,
looking at Manchester United, I wouldn't say that Wilcox would have made a huge amount of difference. Like, we had, I feel like in the space of that 2 years, the Championship has got harder. Now, I don't know if I'm just looking through rose-tinted glasses or what, but it just seems that the quality, if you look at the results across the park, Stoke doing really well, Middlesbrough doing really well, all these clubs that you wouldn't really expect to kind of be doing numbers are doing numbers, on top of the fact that clubs you'd expect to be doing well, such as Sheffield United, are massively struggling. We were talking about, it's going to be really interesting to see at the end of the Championship season where our predictions were and where they've landed, because I think that they're going to be so off the cuff, right? Like, it's absolutely
100%.
mad. But you're right, it's almost like the South Coast Derby is almost our season opener because of the fact that, yes, we've had a few games, but how many of those players that started in those games are still going to be here? Matty Fernandez has already gone. That was one of them,
Yeah. I mean, if you just think about the rumoured signings that we've got coming up and the signings we've had in the last 3 days alone, if they all come into the starting lineup, which isn't necessarily going to happen, let's be honest, but that's basically half of an outfield team that is brand new and completely different.
And a brand, but also have been proven in the Championship as well. Some of them haven't, some of them have, but we brought in fellows in Azaz, who the reason we brought them in is because of the numbers they've done in the Championship, and plus the fact that they are able to deal with probably what's going to be thrown at them. We've got a new youth prospect coming through in Jay Robinson, which originally, we wouldn't have really thought much about. Russ was kind enough to introduce him at the end of the Premier League campaign, right? So there's there are lots of positives to take. I think it's just that we thought we wanted it to get over the line, and we were punished for not getting over the line. And the problem is that feels so quote unquote saints. It's what is going to cause people to be annoyed and panic. And they're kind of justified in it, in my opinion, because again, what happened, and you can't rely. We don't want to do the thing that we did the season before, or the promotion push before, which is rely on outscoring the opposition, right? And we can't do that. We need to have a strong defence, and I think that's what I think most people's worry is. But there's time for that to grow, I think, and potentially with exits that still might take place, we might have time to add to that. I just don't think that it's going to be what a lot of people, including us, mate, have had concerns about, which is the goalkeeping situation. Again, mine isn't necessarily because of Baz. Mine was for depth. We technically have that depth in now. I can understand why people are annoyed. I just don't think that, unless Ramsdale pulled off a worldie to stave that, I don't really think there would have been much of a different outcome. It was just a
No,
very, very good free kick from both of us.
I think there are maybe 3 goalkeepers on the planet that get anywhere near it, to be honest. It was genuinely a sensational free kick. And obviously I've watched it with the emotion removed because I knew the outcome by the time I watched it. But sometimes you just got to take your hat off to quality. And, I mean, if you're going to question anything, like I say, question the reason we got into that position and gave away the free kick and gave the ball away in that area to get there, because sometimes a ball's just that good, it's going to go in. And look, I feel like we're going to move on next and talk about Ryan Ward-Prowse. But first, I think we should have a break and hear a message from our partners at Zencastr. Here at the Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform, and Zencastr came out the clear winner. With 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that automatically removes all those ums and ahs, it's super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the show description and learn more about Zencastr. Alright, mate, we are back. Mate, 2 direct free kicks from 2 for Ryan Manning. What's going on?
It's kind of crazy, isn't it? Considering that he went from never having scored a free kick professionally, right? If I remember rightly, and then now he scored 2 and 2. And I feel again that this, for me, further backs your confidence point, right? Where he's like, "Oh, I can actually put them away," and then maybe he puts them away, and that's one of the things that I think that's caused James Ward-Prowse to not do it in the Premier League after leaving us.
And let's take it all the way back, right? Because this is Ryan Manning who got shoo-shooed as, he's not going to be good enough to play for us in the Premier League, to the Ryan Manning that, man, in this season that's been really woeful, he's probably been one of our most consistent players, at least, like, bring something, to, Ryan Manning came on and absolutely saved the day, to Ryan Manning assisted from the corner and then scored another worldy free kick. Is he just... we talked a lot at the start of the season about redemption arcs, and man,
he didn't have
Ryan
a lot.
Manning.
He didn't have a lot necessarily to redeem, mate.
No,
as you
did
pointed
anyone
out,
see it being him coming through and being like the superstar?
I think that's how things sometimes play out. People, I still remember. I think it was the season that Nathan Redmond played really well. And he went off, I think, that summer to like a private training camp, got himself in the best physical condition he could be in, came in that next season and started, doing really, really well. And sometimes maybe that is just, it can be a mentality shift. Me and you have worked a tough job where sometimes all of a sudden everything will click into place in 1 week and we'll do the most insane stuff. And for sometimes I think that happens for footballers as well, but again, like consistency. And he was one of the ones that we were like, he was brought over from Swansea from Russell Martin, he was Russell Martin's pal, he's going to be Russell Martin all over, and has somehow managed to perform in team under 4 different managers at this point. And I don't think it needs to be a redemption arc because he was already redeemed.
No,
but
you're right.
Yeah, Ryan Manning, mate. that's where I'm at. Like, really happy to see if it means that our top goal scorer ends up being our technically left back, scoring absolutely incredible free kicks or assisting all the time from set pieces. Like we saw that, when we covered him, we talked about how he likes to score a lot of goals from set pieces, and if that's being a part of the game that Ryan Manning's sort of getting better at or peaking at, then long may it continue.
Yeah, unbelievable. I mean, it just it brings me absolute joy. Honestly, I'm loving seeing it, and long may it continue. I don't know, mate. We got a couple of weeks now to dust ourselves off and get ready, right? Like us and the team, but I mean us. Like, are you? I don't know. Are you in the right headspace for this South Coast derby yet? I've seen the calls for flares and flags already.
Yeah, yes and no. Again, I'd have liked us to have a team that had gelled a little bit before, and unfortunately, that's been taken away from us. But we discussed that when the fixture list came out, right? We knew it was going to be tough, and I just hope that we don't give away silly I hope that our passing accuracy improves. That's probably my biggest thing, right? Because I think if it's at home, if we've seen in a game today between Liverpool and Arsenal what the crowd can do, and if we back them and they come out there and they put on a good show, and I can't even contemplate not winning. So I'm just hoping we come out and show why we were in the Premier League last year, even if when we were in the Premier League we were the second worst team of all time. But that's not that's not going to be what it's going to be when we play them. And I think I'll get there, mate. I might not be there now. There's a lot of rambling to say. I'll get there.
So we got a lot of minutes of content to come between now and then. So I'm going to make sure you're in the mood come game day. I can assure you, mate, we'll be there. Look, it's fine. We had 25 games unbeaten in the Championship last time. This time, 25 wins in a row starts with battering Pompey in the South Coast Derby. What more can you ask for?
It's just, yeah. Again, I think what it is, mate, is it was just a game where even you came into it like, wow, we should beat Watford. I think that is what a lot of people felt, and people were annoyed that wasn't the outcome. And you're right, it's mainly just small mistakes, and I think that's what made it more annoying. But it was a good game to watch. It was a game we, should have done better in. But ultimately, we will come back and have to put in a better performance, because I don't think that it's going to be a choice. I think that they're going to step out on that field and they're going to realise that there isn't something that they can. It isn't going to be a game that they can take lightly. To be honest, mate, my biggest fear about the South Coast Derby is how many injuries are going to be picked up.
Yeah.
That is my big thing. I am worried that I'm going to get a leg break or what. I don't want that to happen.
Or suspensions. If you don't think that the first 5 minutes of that match, Flynn Downs is chipping someone into Rosette, then you've got another thing coming. That is...
Yeah, it's
the safest bet in gambling history, I can assure you.
It's going to be it's going to have the atmosphere of a cup final, and I think that to say otherwise would be an insult to both sides. And I don't really like to have any mutual respect for those down the road, because I can guarantee you that they'd never speak well about us. But it's one of those things where it's going to be a huge occasion.
That's it, right? If there's one thing that both teams can agree on, it's that this is the proper derby.
Yeah, this isn't Man City, Man United that happens twice a season and ends up 0-0. This is going to be, this is something that hasn't happened for a very long time. That the Hampshire police have had to set aside big chunks of their budget to deal with, because of the fact that there is a lot of animosity and vitriol for good reason. And it's going to have to live up to that occasion. And
it's going to be one of those affairs that the commentators sit there and go, these are not the scenes you like to see in football. And what they mean is, this is what everybody wants to see in football, because this is the entertaining stuff. This is what people love to see. I want to, I guess, finish wrapping up and go back to the game a bit. Do we know much about the afters that happened after the game between Will Still and Liverpool?
I know that Will Still, unfortunately, was loud enough that I think that people picked up on what he said, and I don't really know what was going on. And I've looked it up, and the problem is I can't find an unbiased opinion, because both people they were giving it to us because apparently we were cheating. We were giving it to them because of whatever reason. I don't know if it was to do with extra time or time wasting or whatever. I don't know what happened. It was nice to watch Adam Lallana run in and defend Will Still at one point. And it was like watching the captain mentality of him trying to look after technically his younger player, which is a younger manager. But I think that when people, the only thing I'll point out there is that when people questioned Still being quite calm and talking, it shows you that he has the passion. Because you don't get into altercations like that unless
It's great to see him care that much, right? It's just what you want from a manager, to have a nibble. I don't want a boring, media trained, calm, soft spoken person all the time. That's fine. That's fine for the pressers. I think he speaks very well in the pressers. I've got no problem with that. But I love to see that little bit of spillover it shows me everything I need to know about him as a character, and it's all good, you know?
Yeah, it's not because of any other reason other than probably just frustration.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it doesn't seem to have been publicised anywhere what's going on. Again, like I think somebody talking about somebody accusing us of cheating. I saw a Watford fan talk about how we're all a bunch of cheats, and I'm just there like point out. It's like, well, this should have happened at this point, and it's like, right, what? Like you had more fouls than us, my guy. Like, what are you? So again, like I don't know if words were had. It didn't go anywhere. I don't think anyone got carded off the back of it. So
I love to see it. Things we love
let
to see.
be.
And if it's just frustrations from both sides ticking over. I mean, I didn't watch the game in full. I can't comment on the referee's performance, but there's been plenty of criticism levelled at referees this weekend alone and this season in general, and. Unfortunately, that's what comes off the back of it, right? It's frustration and.
Do you mean, mate? You mean VAR disallowing goals off the base of like how long a hair is on someone's arm? Or
mate,
what?
let's just say I don't miss it at all. I will take awful championship level referees who are sometimes woefully bad over VAR. Every single day of the week.
My sister-in-law's boyfriend, who is an Arsenal fan, I was chatting to him at the weekend, and he was like, "Oh, do you not miss having VAR at all?" Then I'm like, "I have." In fact, I don't even think about it. Like again, like if a referee makes a bad call, at least then you can say it's a bad call. When 5 people look at something and then go, "Well, in the spirit of the game, it's supposed to go to the attacking team, but because there is half of a millimeter of his arm stuck out, unfortunately, that means that by the law of physics, like, nah." It took us 35 minutes to get here. That's why this game went on for 11 minutes, and you're like, "Oh no, fine."
Mad.
Whatever.
Mad.
Is what it is.
Look, bin it off. Do away with it. And it's just another reason why the Championship is the best league in the world, mate. That's all I'm saying.
We go again.
Yeah.
Watford, for them, a point gained. For us, 2 points dropped. That's the vibe, right?
But look,
is what it is.
Still a point. Better than it could have been. We take
2 points drop is better than no points at all.
Indeed. Right. Well, look, that is all we've got time for and some today. We will be back tomorrow with, as Zach alluded to earlier, our deadline day special. We will be up late and we will be on the verge of all of the breaking news in the transfer market. It's going to be fun. I know that you're excited for another late night recording, mate. They're your favourite. I can't wait. Listen, thank you, Zach, for joining me today. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Look, how excited are you for the South Coast Derby? Let us know in the comments. We got 2 full weeks of building up to it slowly, and it's going to be exciting. We are on all of the socials. Let us know there. We are on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, X, Blue Sky, all of them. Let us know. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day, everyone.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.